Hey, did you know that without sunlight, not a single plant, animal, or human could survive on Earth? That's how important even non-living things are in our environment. In science, we call these non-living things abiotic components. And the living things like animals, plants, bacteria, and humans are called biotic components. Together, they form the foundation of the environment we live in. Today, we'll explore what abiotic and biotic components are, how they interact, and why they're so important in maintaining balance in nature. Let's begin with abiotic components. These are the non-living parts of the environment. They might not move, grow, or breathe, but they play a huge role in supporting life. These include sunlight, air, water, temperature, minerals, soil, and even climate. Sunlight, for example, is the main source of energy for all living things. Plants use sunlight to make food through photosynthesis, and without it, there will be no plants and no food for animals or humans. Air is another abiotic factor. It provides oxygen that animals and humans breathe and carbon dioxide that plants need to make food. Water, which covers more than 70% of the earth, is essential for all living things. Even tiny microbes need water to survive. The temperature of a place also decides what kind of animals and plants can live there. For example, polar bears are found in cold climates, and camels are found in hot deserts. Soil is another key abiotic factor, rich in nutrients that help plants grow. Even the type of soil can affect what kind of crops are grown in a particular region. Now let's talk about biotic components. These are the living parts of the environment. Biotic components include animals, plants, fungi, bacteria, and even tiny organisms you can't see without a microscope. These living things interact with each other and with the abiotic components to form an ecosystem. Biotic components are usually divided into three groups: producers, consumers, and decomposers. Producers are mostly green plants and algae. They make their own food using sunlight, carbon dioxide from the air, and water from the soil. This process is called photosynthesis, and it's how energy enters the food chain. Next are the consumers. These are animals and humans who cannot make their own food. They depend on plants or other animals for their energy. Herbivores like cows and deer eat plants. Carnivores like lions and tigers eat other animals. Omnivores like humans eat both plants and animals. The third group is decomposers. These are organisms like fungi and bacteria that break down dead plants and animals into simpler substances. This process returns important nutrients back to the soil, which helps plants grow. Now let's look at how abiotic and biotic components interact. You might think that rocks, air, and water aren't doing anything, but they are essential for the living things around them. Take a look at this forest. The trees and plants depend on sunlight, water, and soil to grow. They also need air to breathe. The birds eat the berries from the bushes and build their nests in the trees. The squirrel hides its food in the forest, and the mushrooms get their nutrients from decaying logs. The rabbit eats the plants and runs away from the fox that wants to eat it. And even the smallest insects rely on the plants for nectar and pollen. All these relationships show how the living and non-living parts of the environment depend on each other. Can you think of any other examples? Well, let me give you one more. Have you seen a coral reef before? There are all kinds of shapes, colors, and animals living in a coral reef. The corals themselves are made of tiny animals called polyps. They capture small plants and animals and use them as food. Fish live among the corals and eat the smaller animals found there, and the larger fish become food for sharks. In turn, the sharks help keep the fish population under control. Decomposers like bacteria break down dead animals and plants, returning their nutrients to the water. The warmer temperature of the water allows more animals and plants to grow, but if the water gets too warm, the corals can die. If there is a drought, the roots of the plants dry out and the animals have to search for food and water elsewhere. This shows us how important it is for the different biotic and abiotic factors to stay in balance. Let's also look at how changes in abiotic factors affect living things. For example, if there is a drought, plants start to dry up. When plants die, herbivores lose their food. Then carnivores that depend on herbivores also start to suffer. This shows that a small change in one abiotic factor like water can affect the entire food chain. Similarly, if the temperature of the earth keeps increasing, many animals may not survive in their usual habitats. That's why protecting the environment is not just about saving animals. It's also about caring for the air, water, and soil. In the end, remember that the environment is like a big web where everything is connected. The sun, air, water, soil, plants, animals, and even bacteria all work together to keep the earth alive. If one part is damaged, the whole system can fall apart. That is why learning about abiotic and biotic components is not just science. It is the key to understanding how life survives and how we can protect our planet. Keep observing the world around you. Notice the sunlight on plants, the ants building their tiny homes, the breeze carrying pollen, or the fungi growing on old wood. These are all signs of nature's perfect teamwork between the living and non-living. When we respect both abiotic and biotic components, we make sure that Earth remains a beautiful and livable place for future generations.